everybody. This is Jordan McConnell with the Crohn's Veteran Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I am honored and grateful to have my good friend Patara Harper join me today on the last interview of the Crohn's Veteran Podcast. Patara, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. This has been a long time coming. So, I've been really looking forward to this conversation with you, and and learning about your story. And so let's just get started. So, for the folks that don't know you, and before we get into your Crohn's background, just tell us a little bit about who Patara Harper is.
Okay. Well, first I have to say I'm a child of God. And then more than that, my experiences have shaped, the person that I am. 20 years ago, if you would have asked me that question, I would have said, I really couldn't answer it, but just Crohn's has played such a huge part of my journey and shaping the person that I am, because like through the suffering that I've had to go through, I've learned compassion, and with the pain, I've learned, patience. And I'm a person who savors the good times now.
Mhm.
I step out of my comfort zone to do new things. So to answer your question, I really am still discovering who I am, but I'm much more open to the things that I'm destined to do.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And um, yeah, I mean, even with me, this whole podcast is a journey, to kind of self discovery, a little bit, by talking to all these people, all these amazing people, through the last few years, I've just gained so much insight about who I am too. So tell me, we kind of met by just complete happenstance, and so like, which is super awesome. So first tell me how you found the Crohn's Veteran Podcast.
Okay, so one of my many days of just going through all the Crohn's symptoms and different things, I was searching the internet, and I was particularly looking for Black people with Crohn's or people of color with Crohn's,
Mhm.
because there's not much information out there that I found about, people of color with Crohn's. And so I was searching and searching. I didn't see much, but then I came across the Crohn's Veterans Podcast on YouTube. And I said, okay, this is interesting, and I sat there and I watched it, and it was just so much helpful information. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
how I found your video.
Awesome. I mean, that was the same thing for me. That's the reason I started it. I was looking for the podcast that looking for the podcast I couldn't find.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I decided to kind of wanted to be the change I wanted to see in the world, and create this show. And it's interesting is that there's so many people that professionals out there that that can speak on this, right? That there's all these people of color that are GI doctors, and and work in the IBD IBD community and stuff. And so I was just kind of taken aback by even people that make a lot of content around Crohn's and stuff, but it's just like there was just no podcast. And
Yeah.
so I decided to start it. And I'm grateful I did, because I've again met so many fun people. But what I'm curious about, especially since we met, yeah, actually, but before we get to that, um so you found the podcast, and then you got invited to this health conference in Las Vegas. And so tell me about that, please.
Yes. So I've been doing some patient advocacy work, and I got an opportunity to attend a huge health technology convention in Las Vegas. And that's where I met you.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you were, one of the people that was working with the company that advocates for patients. And so I saw you, and something was in the back of my head, but I couldn't quite place it. You looked a little familiar. And then, I was admiring your style. You got a nice little swag to you and everything. But I didn't really talk to you that first day. I was just filling things out. But that second day, I think it was the second day, or it was later on, I think I introduced myself to you, and you said, hi, my name is Jordan, and I run a Crohn's podcast. And then I thought to myself, hey, I know you.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
it was just like meeting like a sister I never had,
Yes, exactly.
like immediately.
Yes, we
And
immediately clicked, and we immediately just started talking and sharing our stories, and it was
amazing,
just wonderful. Yes.
amazing. So tell me about, from your perspective, what was that health conference, experience like for you? Were you able to share your story while you were there?
I was able to share my story. And I was intentional with what I shared. I was intentional to say that I've experienced disparities when it came to healthcare and getting treatment for Crohn's, and I've experienced bias, and I just thought it was very important to put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and even with the convention, I just was kind of disappointed that there wasn't many people of color there, especially when it comes to health and new technology.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
the vendors and all that kind of stuff, right? It seemed like, yeah, there was this, that's something that needs to change in those kind of environments. Is that these well, actually just seeing more people of color, in leadership positions and on tech, and people that are, and including these perspectives, in these innovations a lot more.
for sure. Yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to actually, because I know they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's people of color in the gastro community,
Lots
but
of
yes, but companies, the healthcare system has to be intentional to be inclusive of everyone.
Definitely. So now, please tell me, what it was like, or actually your story, of when you got diagnosed. And so, kind of, start, I know that's a lot. And so, so maybe, just kind of starting from the beginning.
Okay, well, it is a lot
Mm-hmm.
because the diagnosis was maybe at least 10 years in the making. But how everything started is just one day I woke up and my stomach was cramping, and I was having just a lot of pain and cramping and diarrhea just out of nowhere.
Right.
I woke up and Crohn's was there, and it continued every day after that, just about every day for at least 10 years. I went to several specialists, several gastro doctors, and they would tell me, oh, it's depression, or it's anxiety, or it's this or that. They gave me many tests, and they said, well, the test doesn't show anything. So I wasn't being believed. I even at work, I worked at the airport, and
Yeah.
I would have to take breaks. I would have to take bathroom breaks in
Right.
between flights. And my supervisor would say, well, you were gone from this time to that time. And I said, well, I was in the bathroom, in the restroom. And he said, well, they kind of looked at me like I wasn't telling the truth. And the crazy thing about it is my supervisor, who, was questioning me about it, his wife had Crohn's.
Interesting.
Yes. And I told him, because I was doing my research back then,
Yeah.
when it first started. And I was leaning towards, okay, this is probably Crohn's. And I said, I think I have Crohn's. And he got offended. He said, well, Crohn's is very serious, and he actually acted
Wow.
like, Yeah, like he was offended by me saying that I may have Crohn's. So, I've just experienced a lot of discrimination, and even with healthcare, going to when I'm in pain, when
Mm,
I've been in pain, and just going to the doctor, just wanting answers, going to the emergency room, just wanting, some relief to being tested. But the nurses or doctors are thinking that I'm just going for pain medication, you
mm.
know, and
Unfortunately,
yeah, and
yeah.
still not giving it.
Right, right. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, I've been down that path too. It's very unfair. So,
Yes.
um, how do you yeah, like how do you manage today? I mean, I'm so interested. I mean, I know we haven't gotten
Mhm.
into a lot of stuff yet, but
Mhm.
but I know that, how do like day to day, how are you feeling
You know, it's
currently?
I'm still on that journey. I'm not quite in remission yet. I've started a new drug, so I just take it day by day. Actually, today was kind of rough, but I pushed on, and I'm still having hope that everything is going to be okay, because I know it will. It's just a matter of time.
And that's why I'm grateful for you to to be here and share your story today, because it's just not easy. And my son was telling me that that he wants to grow up and and find a cure for Crohn's. And so,
Oh, yeah.
then that means the world to me. Even if that changes, right?
Hmm.
Like at some time. But just the idea that he wishes that his dad didn't have to go through this stuff. And so, but so how long? So when were you? So even though
Hmm.
you had to kind of convince people, it sounds like, about what you were going through, when were you diagnosed?
Now the diagnosis came when I had got down to about, I think I was 89 pounds. I
Mm,
couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair, and I went to the emergency room because, I just was down to nothing. I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat, I couldn't keep anything down. And I went there with my children. My children pushed me in. And a doctor came in and she said, "Now I'm going to check you into the hospital." And she said, "I want you to do everything that I tell you to do." So basically, she took mercy on me, because I had been
mm,
going to the emergency room just about every week or every other week, trying to get help, um, trying to get a diagnosis of something. And so she ended up checking. I checked into the hospital that day, and she immediately started enteral nutrition to get my weight up.
mm,
And then she gave me a medication for Crohn's without the colonoscopy, without a diagnosis. She gave it to me because I had all the symptoms. And within 24 hours, after 10 years, within 24 hours, I felt 70% better.
mm.
Immediate relief,
Life changing, right?
life changing relief. She went out on a limb and she gave me that medication for Crohn's. And I'm forever grateful to that doctor. And she told me later on, she said, and her name is Dr. Fisher, Monica Fisher. She told me later on that I looked like I was from a third world country when I came into the emergency room.
Well, thank you, Dr. Fisher, for helping out my friend Patara. So,
Yes,
so
I'm grateful to her.
and then that's I just my own. I remember that's why we connected, is that I remember after my second surgery. I mean, I'm not a big guy either, right? And so I was, you know I mean 100. I mean, I don't even, this bones, just a sack of
Mhm.
bones.
That's it. Yeah.
This a sack of bones and stuff. And I just remember, like, I remember, yeah, because I had a tube up my nose, down my throat that was feeding me and stuff. And
Hmm.
and then I got out, And I just remember like looking at myself in the mirror, like, I'm like, oh, I mean, it's like, I got to eat everything right now. I got to eat everything right now.
Everything.
Like, sodas, burgers, like, I
And
just
it
need,
still didn't work.
I just need calories, calories, calories.
Yes.
But yeah, but that was the same thing, that life-changing medicine.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was the same thing. It was about 7 years later, and that was, after the Remicade and all the biologics didn't work. And they're like, wait a minute, I think because you've had your ileum surgically removed that you might have bile acid malabsorption. So we need to get you on this, chlorestramine. And again, within 24 hours, I was like, it was like Popeye and spinach or something, like I was like, and
Right.
that was literally the seed, like that, like, oh my gosh, it's possible for me not to be sick.
Yes.
It's possible for me to actually feel good for, a period of time and not
Hmm.
be going to the bathroom every 2 to 3 hours, 24 hours a day for years on end. And then that was literally like that, that epiphany of possibility was like, it's kind of where almost like where social media started, and like the pod, like it led to the podcast and almost everything that I do, even today, talking to you, like all this stuff came from literally the possibility that medicine gave me.
Yes.
So I mean, so yeah, people do not know just, how life changing, you know, these treatments can be for people. So
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to a cure. That's
yeah,
what we need, a cure, not just the treatment, short term. There needs to be a cure.
and saying that's what little guy wants to do. He wants to find a cure.
Yes.
So like, and so I mean, there's I think the Cure Crohn's the Colitis Foundation. I think the Cure Crohn's and Colitis .org is they're, from what I understand, solely all the monies that go to them go strictly to finding a cure, versus like Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, which is like raising awareness and stuff like that. This organization is solely focused on finding a cure for Crohn's. And so for anybody out there that's wants to support, finding a cure, check them out. Uh,
Yes, that's amazing. And they need to make sure it works on people of color as
yep,
well, you
yep,
know.
yep. So definitely, there's too much science that doesn't take, you know, that the sampling isn't what it should be. So
Right.
so tell me, you know, because folks out there, main thing is like, man, I want to go to school, I want to do all these, fun things in my life, but I'm sitting at home with Crohn's or colitis. So tell me your journey, Mrs. Educated over there, how you did it.
Well, last week I graduated with the Master's in Career and Technical Education from Indiana State University. Thank you, Jordan. Oh, thanks, everyone. But it was not easy. I'm not going to say it was easy. I still was battling Crohn's through everything. And one thing that really helped is I let my the Office of Disability know what I was going through, so there was something on record and in the books that said that I have this disorder and I may need extra time taking tests or with deadlines, because one day I may be feeling fine and the next I may not, be feeling okay. So that helped a lot. And then secondly, it did take a long time for me to graduate.
Mm.
It took, but I didn't give up. That's the thing. It did take several years, but I didn't give up.
I'm very, I'm just impressed. It's and that's no small feat. That to be able to have a chronic condition and to focus on a goal like that. And now I'm a big believer in, like, no matter how dark it gets outside, don't let your dream die.
Yes.
Like to keep that spark, and that can get you through a lot.
Mhm.
And yeah, and just I you know I think I did my bachelor's degree was, yeah, actually before I had the medicine. Patara.
Wow.
And so like, and so I, and I'm an IT guy, and I didn't have a computer half the time I did that thing, and so I mean, I'm at, you know, like using my friends' computers and using my wife's computers and girlfriend at the times, now wife's computers and stuff, um and I just, yeah, and then that was all online too. There was no physical classes. I wrote all my papers and everything, and that was a lot. I think even the last 3 months of school was the first 3 months of his life, my son's life type thing. And so like, and so that was, it was a lot, but again, perseverance, not giving up, persistence, that, and that's what grit. I think that Crohn's and colitis can give people a kind of a certain grit to power through things that you might not otherwise been able to. It's
Yes,
it's kind of interesting. So it's kind of like you can feel like a curse, but it's like there's a silver lining in that curse.
of course. And a huge thing was I didn't want, when I go back out into that workforce, I
Mhm.
didn't want to go back and have that same supervisor telling me when I could go to the bathroom and when I can't. I wanted to be the supervisor, or I wanted to have my own.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. And so I mean that's I everyone with Crohn's deserves to be in a position to where they aren't made to feel insecure or uncomfortable because of the condition that they live with. That's it's just terrible. And so I think about all those folks that work in call centers. This is a little bit of a tangent, but like I think about all the folks that work in call centers with headsets and stuff like that, and every single minute is tracked,
Yeah.
right? And because I used to do that. I used to work at Cox, doing tech support, and so like, and then I just having that kind of condition. I mean, it's almost like from their perspective, you can't even do a good job because you're not on the phone, and it's just so it's so unfair. And so there definitely there needs to be accommodations, these workplace accommodations that don't make you kind of low hanging fruit for being let go.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
so, and because that's, yeah, I've experienced that too, unfortunately. And so, but so what is your, so beyond, what is your plans? What would you like to be doing going forward? Like what's your dream?
Oh, so right now, what I'm doing, I'm continuing my advocacy work. I'm also right now working for the city of St. Paul in Minnesota, trying to eradicate some of the white privilege that is persistent in Minnesota, especially after George Floyd. There's a lot of initiatives going on,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm working with the city of St. Paul in the new diversity DEI department. So
Awesome.
yes, I'm working with that. Besides that, my kids will soon be graduating from high school. So
Awesome.
I'm trying to set them up for college and different things. But most of all, I'm planning a lot of me time.
Well, it
Yes,
sounds like you deserve, that you deserve some me time.
I
So,
do. Thank you.
so so I hope you get it, and I hope you get a lot of it. So like you were telling me, just to manifest, to help to help manifest things a little bit here, speak things into reality. You were telling me that you had a dream the other day. Do you
Oh,
remember? Like, I think that I'm gonna see you on Netflix.
I probably had that dream.
That big.
Oh, okay. I remember what I told you. Yes. So I do have a dream of acting. I would love to be an actor in plays, like stage plays. I like that kind of acting.
Awesome. I can see.
But I go in my head sometimes and think, okay, what if I have to go to the restroom, or what if I get sick, or different things going through my head.
Mhm.
but that would be a dream of mine to start off in stage plays and different things locally and then work my way up. Maybe I would become a star or something like that, but that's something that I've always wanted to do.
I know there has to be a, a loving, supporting environment that will allow you to, to manifest that goal, right?
Mhm.
I mean, like if you believe that there's people in an environment that, that can allow you to, explore, explore acting with, and being, and they're also compassionate enough to understand, to work around your, your health and stuff, that's possible,
Mhm.
and I'm, I mean, to me, they're like this whole abundance thing, right? There, there's it's possible. There's nothing to say that that you can't have that opportunity to you know be amazing. Like you could be on Broadway in New York, right? You never know. And so, but I would, to anyone out there listening, and to Patara herself, follow your dreams. We only get one go around here, if you know it, and as far as I know. So so life is short. So if you have an opportunity to follow that dream, do it. Do it wisely so you can actually make it real. But make it happen. I mean, this podcast was a dream.
Mhm.
Being able to talk to people all over the world, and I've done it. Like I think it's over like 40 countries and something like that I've heard this show. So and that was just literally me deciding to do it one day. So you can do it too, Patara. Anybody listening, if you have a dream of doing, you have a dream, you can do it. I mean, so just don't give up. Don't give up.
No, don't give up. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with Crohn's and IBS and IBD and different things that are doing it, that are acting, that are famous, but they're not actually telling their story. So as more people tell their story, that's encouraging people like us to
It
pursue
is.
our dreams.
It is. I mean, probably the person that pops into mind is the dude from Everybody Hates Chris. Um, I think his
Mm,
name's the boy. I mean, he's a man now. He's a grown man now. He's like an actor and stuff. Very
mhm.
very famous. But that guy, and it's like Tyler something
I
like,
know who you're
yeah,
talking
like I don't want to
about.
butcher his name. But yeah, but he has Crohn's, and
Wow.
I know he shared his story. He shared his story, and but there needs to be more of that. You're right. And it shouldn't. It'd be nice. That's kind of the idea here, was just to, people from all different walks of life. Like sharing these stories, so you know that it's possible for for you too to do something. So so like so what is uh let's see, what was I gonna ask you? So yeah, so what if your kids thought, and what if your kids thought about you having Crohn's, your larger family, thought, thinking about you having Crohn's, and what has that journey been like, kind of them walking side by side with you?
Well, as far as my kids, they're typical teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't really talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
They just know that I have symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
and they want their mom. They don't look at Crohn's or anything like that. But as far as my family, they have been, some of the people who you think are going to be supportive weren't, but some of the people who you never you thought would be supportive were, and
Mm-hmm.
stepped in when I was really sick and helped to take care of, the kids or my needs or whatever.
Awesome. Well, I mean, they say support systems matter.
Yes, for sure.
And so, and that's one of the biggest things that, if you find yourself with Crohn's, is making sure that, if you don't already have a loving, supporting environment, is doing your best to find one.
Yes. And don't listen to the people that's telling you that you should eat this or you should eat that, and then you'll be okay. All you need to do is eat right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't listen to that. Yes, it's important to eat right, but that's
Yeah.
not what all goes into Crohn's.
It's a chronic inflammatory incurable condition type thing.
Exactly.
And so, so you can't unfortunately eat your way out of it. And so
Right.
and so even though I wish you could. So but yeah, so any words of wisdom, I mean, just the last 10 years or so, I know what are some things, yeah, better yet, if you could speak to a younger version of yourself, and give her advice, what would you say to her?
I would say that you know your body better than anyone else. So if you're, advocate for yourself. If the doctors are telling you that, that you're not feeling this symptom or it's this, then if you feel like you need a second opinion, get it, or a third opinion. Also have someone, if you can, try to get that support system, because they can help advocate for you when you're tired. They could be there to take notes or whatever. So it's important to have that support system, even if it's strangers. You may not have a family that supports you.
Mm-hmm.
Find someone outside of your family, but you do need someone to help you get through it. And yeah, and just know that it's going to be okay.
And so how do you cheer yourself up, living with Crohn's?
Hmm. I listen to music. I watch dance.
Mm-hmm.
I look for podcasts like
Mm-hmm.
yours. I'm going to miss it.
New fun things are in store. So
Yes. And I'll be looking out for it.
thank you.
Mhm.
Well, cool. And last but not least, if someone wanted to connect with you to, talk about Crohn's, or professional interest, those kind of things, how can folks connect with you?
Right now, I don't have my social media up, but look for it. Remember my name, Patara, and I have things to come.
All right, very awesome. Well, for everybody listening, it's been an amazing journey. I'm actually going to do one more episode after this one to talk about the last 3 years doing this show, and kind of what I've learned from it, from all the amazing guests that I've had, and also, yeah, just, yeah, my own journey and kind of what I'm doing, going forward, and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'm beyond grateful that Patara was here to share her story. And I hope that the folks listening at home, got value out of this. Please share this episode far and wide to the people that you think need it. This podcast is, not about being famous, not about being rich, not about, it's all about a labor of love, to hopefully make an impact, in people's lives. And so with that, you can reach out to me, uh, at Jordan at Crohn'sVeteran.com for anything. My website is also Crohn'sVeteran.com. This podcast will be found on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor, etc. And much love, and I really appreciate you guys' support out there. And Patara, thank you again for being here. It is very much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Thank you again.